welcome to 1320, the coolest hangout for youth, teens, everyone in between infinity and beyond. And I just found out that I haven't watched Toy Story 4. And Toy Story 5 is in the making. The more you know. Anyway, hi, I am. Who am I today? I am. Wait for it. I. Mm, uh, mm. You know what? Okay, I'm Joseph Rafiki. I have thought a lot, but I've been studying for my exam this week, so I didn't really have much time to watch stuff. Yeah, that's why I couldn't come up with any name. Anyway, hi. How have you been? It's been a week. And yes. Welcome back to Fight or Fight. This is episode 2. Last week we checked out the things that we need as warriors, the warriors that we are. And today we are getting into the nitty gritty, okay? Things that we need to fight. That's not even the subtitle of this, but from what I've understood, that's basically what you're talking about today. And let's begin this with checking up differences in who we are. Yes, I know it doesn't sound like it has anything to deal with whatever you're talking about, but it does, trust me. So, uh, in this case, we are talking about our genders, of which apparently in the world right now is a very sensitive topic. I don't know how it came to be, but yeah, let's just look at it from what we know, okay? And what we've observed throughout the years, what science has observed, what history has observed, is that men tend to be adventurous, right? Like, if you hear of the greatest adventurers of time, they're mostly men. I mean, there are some women, but mostly it was men. Alexander the Great, Napoleon, that type. It's mostly men. But then, before we go there, I'm trying to think of an instance. Okay, I gave the instance of war. That's not the most positive instance. That's why I'm trying to think of another thing. Uh, they, let's say for example, would do something out of the blues, taking risks. Yes, another thing, they take risks out of the blues and do something that would probably cost them for some time, but then in the long run, they have like a sort of solid plan for it. Let's say, for example, somebody quits their job to become whatever they want to become. Both men and women can do this, by the way. But in most cases, the ones who would think about it, let's say, from a logical perspective, it's the guys, right? And women would think about it because they want to do this. Men would think about it, weigh out the options, then do it. Okay. Also, they initiate action. Okay, the whole thing about going to war and stuff. The reason as to why there was war is because somebody chose to go to war with somebody else. They took that action. I know, again, not the most positive example, but in this case of fighting, yeah, I had to. Anyway, let's talk about the women, okay? Women would love to cuddle. That's true, right? Your ladies love to cuddle. It might be a baby, maybe a friend, maybe a significant other for those who do have. And it's kind of in the nature to be caring, to want to, let's say, uh, hold something, to be intimate with something, okay? It's kind of in their nature. And tell me if this is not true. It is way easier. Let's say you're with your friends, and one of them happens to be a lady, and she just talks to this random stranger, and in 5 minutes, I mean, but a hug. Let's say they are talking about something that affected the stranger, and they're like, "Oh, I'm really sorry," Asham hug, right? It's very easy for a lady to do that, and for guys, hata kama wanajuana, okay, even if they know each other, it's not as common to see like guys, like hugging each other in whatever conversation they're having. It's unless it's like super deep. Guys, Anyway. And in this case, with them being that way, in them open to interaction, them open to listen, we find that women are receptive, right? Remember, all of this will actually come back to whatever you're talking about, okay? It's not that I'm just beating around the bush. It will come back, full circle. So they're willing to listen. They're willing to, let's say, weigh out options given whatever fact or whatever, let's say, whatever debate is going on, they would listen and they would make a choice, right? Let me give you a scenario, okay, where a man and woman are in the house. This is another point, okay, and they hear a noise outside. It is like instincts that the man would go and check out, like, what is it? What is this noise? What's the cause? The woman would actually tend to go in the opposite direction in a place where she'd find security. And that's another thing about ladies. They like to find security in places, in people. That's how they are. Guys tend to be the ones who go out, the adventurous ones. They go out, find opportunities, do things that would kind of be uh, man-like, although anybody can do these things nowadays. But, let us go back. Let us now circle back. Do you circle back? Before you circle back, the whole thing about men tend to find opportunities. Let's take back to the conquerors, okay? Napoleon, Alexander the Great. Those guys wanted to see what's in the world, like in a Columbus. They wanted to conquer these nations, right? That's that's who they are, like, internally, by instinct. But for the ladies, it's all about security. It's about what they can preserve, right? You get what I'm saying, right? Here's one thing that is kind of interesting to know, that while men would look for opportunities, women would lure the opportunities their way. It's just fact, and I'm not just talking about, like, in a sexual way. I'm just talking about whatever it is they want. Let's say a guy and a chick, they want the same thing. The guy would probably have to work or have to ask for money to borrow it. Then the people would lend him some money. Then he would be in debt, right? But then it's easy for the lady to kind of get it without the debt or anything. It's just that this soft power, okay, let's call it soft power, that women have. And the reason I say I'm talking about this is because it's also important to what we're talking about today, okay? Okay. So we found out that men are adventurous, women would prefer security, men are ready to take risks, yeah. Women prefer intimacy over conquering. But what does that have to do with Fight or Fight episode 2? Well, it is because we are going to be talking about the things that we need to fight as human beings despite our gender, okay? Number one, it is the pride of life. Why did I say it that way? I do not know. Okay, the pride of life. And what might this be? This is ile ukijisikia umefika. Okay, ukijisikia you are the one who to make choices. You are the one who can do this, and it's a you thing. Sometimes it's not pride, sometimes it's responsibility, but then kuna ile nyingine, ile ya kujitakia. Okay, let's take an example in the Bible. Adam and Eve. Okay, we find that the snake was the most subtle, the serpent was the most subtle creature of all. Lured Eve into taking of the fruit that was forbidden, right? And then gave it to Adam. But the reason why she ate it in the first place is because the serpent asked one simple question: did God really say? Did he really? And you're like, you know what? Maybe whatever God was saying didn't cover this part. So I have this area to myself. This is mine. That's why she ate it. Then gave it to Adam, of which Adam knew it was wrong, but for some reason still ate. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. So the pride of life. Sometimes we are so full of it as human beings. I'm not going to lie. All of us have had that one moment or multiple moments when you're just so full of it. We feel like we own the world. Of which it's a good thing to walk in confidence, but not in pride. Okay? And pride comes before fall. So let us leap to the second person who had this pride of life moment, and it was Samson. Okay? The Superman of the Bible. Okay, he couldn't fly, so the well, he was super strong to lift two gates. So I need to find an equivalent of somebody who can. Let's say the Superboy from Young Justice, version of the Bible. Yes, Superman, Superboy. Superboy can't fly, so can't Samson. Actually, you know what? There is a Samson in the DC universe for those people who are into DC. There is Samson and Atlas, but we're focusing on Samson right here. From the Bible, though, real life superhero. This guy lifted gates with his two hands, and I'm not talking about easy gates za nyumba za umbwakali. No, I'm talking like huge gates of the city. Imagine if Mombasa had like a city like Karibu Mombasa. Yeah, now those ones. That guy is just holding them with his two hands and lifting them and chucking them in the air. It's insane. It's insane. I just got super hyped thinking about a Samson live action movie. Anyway. So, he got to the point where he knew that God was with him. He knew that he was strong. But then, for some reason, point number two, we are going to point number two, using point number one, he messed up and it got him killed. Okay? Why? Because of the lust of the eyes. That is point number two, the lust of the eyes. As human beings, we want things for ourselves. Better yet, we want the best of the best for ourselves. Whatever would remain would give it to people. But then the best, ours. Right? I'm not lying there. Cynthia. And in the lust of the eyes, I don't necessarily mean it in a sexual way, because mostly people like kind of compare lust to something sexual. No, it could be just something that you want. It could be money. It could be an item that somebody else has. Let's say, for the ladies, you've seen somebody with this. Okay, what do girls like? Shoes. Like you've seen a friend with these nice shoes, and you want that, so you go and make up excuses. You create stories so that you can get the money. You tell somebody, oh, my friend is sick, and I charge this amount of money, could you help me with it, blah blah blah, so that you can go and buy shoes. People are evil like that, by the way. And technically what you've done is wrong. You've lied to somebody, and you've used the money for purposes that are not really worthy, because they're shoes. Relax, okay? Ni viatu. For the guys, it could be, especially on the older side, it could be, let's say, a car. This one I know even I would fall trap into. You see, let's say, there's, for people who are in Mombasa, okay, there's this Porsche 718 Boxster. It's like a convertible, super sports car. Amazing. So you see something like that, and you're like, I want that for myself. So you go to the bank, ask for loans, only for you to get a car so that you can feel something. Okay? One, you've used the money for the wrong reason. You could technically do a lot with that money that would have been, that you used to buy that car. Let's say it's a car worth 7 million, 8 million Kenya shillings, that is. So you use that money to buy that one car just because somebody else had it. It does not make sense, right? Because we want something so much that somebody else has, that we are willing to go out of the normal way so that we can get it like quicker. It's not right. It just doesn't sit right. And in this case, let's talk about Samson again, and his story of him going down to, is it Philistia, wherever the Philistines were living. He went down there. Then he saw a prostitute, and he was like, "Oh, okay, she might fine, she might fine." The script, okay, the script that is here is very descriptive. Okay, We do not know what Samson saw. Was it the eyes? Was it the hair? Was it the clothing that she was wearing back in the day? Those two linen dresses. You know what? Not really linen. Silk. Any soft materials. Was it the hips? Was it the lips? Mm. Yes, trust me, it's here. I am not making this up. So whatever Samson saw, he lasted over it. Okay, and it almost cost him his life. But then, at that time, he still had his hair, so he rose up and defeated the enemy. That's when he took up the gates and all. But then we come to this second scenario where Samson now gave in. Okay, but that's the third point. So before we go to the third point, let us cover another person, David, the Almighty King David. He also fell short in this area where he was at the balcony of his palace, right? Then he just saw down there this lady was taking a bath. There's technically nothing wrong with him seeing the first time. He would have just turned away, looked another side, or even left the area. But what did he do? He kept on looking. He admired. And because of that, he formulated a plan to kill that lady's husband in war and make it look like an accident. Well, this thing's zilianza kitambo, okay? So he did. And by him fulfilling the lust of the eyes, he also fulfilled number 3, the lust of the flesh. Okay? Remember, these are things that we need to get rid of for us to become the warriors that God has intended us to be. So the lust of the flesh. Now this one is even heavier because it starts with the eyes. You see something, you want it, but then now the body wants it and you have to gratify the body, and so you do all sorts of wrong things so that you make sure that happens. Let's go back to Samson. Okay, let's go back to Samson. We now meet Delilah. Okay, she was probably an amazing looking woman, very gorgeous, nice hair and all. Because let's face it, if you are Samson, you'd probably just go for the finest of the fine. You are literally the strongest man on the planet. You can do whatever you want. You would probably go for that 1% group of ladies that have everything physically, right? But he didn't know that Delilah was a mole. She was a spy. She was not there because she really wanted him. She was there because her people sent her. And we all know the story, of which in this case most people usually think of Samson as a failure, although technically he did murder, not really murder, he killed more Philistines on the day of his death than he did when he was ever alive. So that's kind of cancelling each other out, because that's a great feat on its own. So yeah, Samson is not really a failure. He was a leader, and Judges says that he was a leader for 20 years. 20 years. Most of the people watching this, if you minus 20 from your life, some of us would not be born, some of us would be toddlers, some of us, if you've gone too far, would be, let's say, KG1, KG2, KG3. And for those who are in the beyond part of infinity and beyond watching this, if you minus 20 years, you'd be back in your youth days, right? Like, let's say, for example, you are 40. Minus 20, you're a 20-year-old. You're back in your youth days. So yes, 20 is a long time. He was a leader for that time, but all it took was the lust of the eyes and the lust of the flesh for him to lose everything. That's all it took. And that's all it can take for us today. We might want something that we are not really supposed to have because it's not really our canon event. But we try to force it to fit where it's not supposed to fit. And while doing that, obviously, so let's say for example, there is a pile of clothes, then umetoa moja, then you try to put it back, and you push, utarealize kuna nyingine huko inatoka, si ndio? It's because when you try fitting something in an order that thing was not meant to be, it pushes something else for it to accommodate. Okay, so you could be pushing out your destiny, you could be pushing out your blessings, just for this one thing that you are lasting of, and it could be even short term for the most case. Okay. So I've already covered all three, but we are not done there. Okay, we've let's continue the story of Samson, right? So he gets captured the first time, but then he lies to Delilah, the source of his true strength, the second time. Then the third time, he actually tells her the source of his strength, and his hair is cut off. Then we know what happens. He even goes blind. Okay, he lost his sight, metaphorically and literally. He lost his sight. David, because of whatever he did, he was not able to build the temple of the Lord. He lost his son, the one that, the firstborn that Bathsheba gave to. That kid died because, it was a sin and all that. But then the second one was kind of forgiven, so can cancel itself out. Still, lost a son. That's a whole life. That person would have been king, but then we'd never get to know the story. So what is it that we today, whoever is watching, what is it that we are trying to make fit in our life, though it's not really meant to be there? What is this thing that we are trying our best to get, although we are not supposed to? What is this thing that is technically bringing us down just because we haven't conquered it yet? I want us to identify this thing. I want us to acknowledge that it's there, okay? Because there's some people who know it's there, then some people who actually know it's there. Some people will be like, it's just a drug addiction, nothing much. Then some other people will be like, yeah, it's a drug addiction and it's bad. I need to do something about it. Two different people, okay? The first one would probably just keep on going on as if everything is okay. The second one would make effort to change. And that's the thing that we need to do. We need to fight off these things. We need to make the effort to change. Because again, warriors don't go to war with easy things. Let's say, for example, we've heard of World War I, World War II, and for those who are history buffs, let's say the Battle of Constantinople and all those places, right? Those wars didn't happen because it was a walk in the park, right? A lot of lives are lost. For the greater good of whatever their cause was, they lost things, right? For them to gain it. And in this case, we need to lose whatever it is that is holding us back in order for us to gain our destiny, in order for us to gain blessings, in order for us to gain our purpose in life. Because sometimes we realize that these things that are holding us back are the ones that are making us, again, lose sight of what you're supposed to do. I hope that has finally tied itself in. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically it from me today. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, come before you this day, thanking you for this word, thanking you for all the knowledge that has been placed in your word all those years ago, so that we can come, Father, and read it and understand, Father, that everything that was done back then still applies to us, and we can use it as an example. We can use it as a template, Father, on how we need to live as human beings and as Christians, Jesus Christ. I thank you for this word. I thank you for the team that put it together, for the team that put together this sermon. And I thank you for everybody who's watching, who's listening. And I pray, Father, that whatever has been spoken here, may it be imparted in their life. May they keep on digesting this word. May they keep on processing. May they keep on knowing, Father, that there are things that need to be cut off for them to prosper, Almighty Jehovah God. And I pray, Father, that you may give us the strength, that you may give us the power, King of all glory, to push these things away, Father, so that we can live a life, Father, that is pleasing to you, and that we can live a life, Father, that you have destined, that you have willed for us to live, King of all glory. I thank you and I worship you, even as we go into this week. May you be with us, may you guide us, may you protect us. In Jesus' name we pray, trusting and believing. Amen. Yeah, that's it from me. I know when I said this one was we are going deeper, I meant we are going deeper into this. So yes,